Hey everybody, it's your girl, Coach Cheryl, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited, and as you can see, I have a special guest with us on today. We're going to be talking about self-love and a different aspect of self-love, and that is how to effectively love someone else while also loving yourself and not getting lost in the mix. So I'm so excited about that. If that's something that you'd be interested in, I want you to run, get your girlfriends on the line, make sure that they come to this video. And when you do, you know what to do. Hit that like button. And if this is content that you enjoy, I also like you to subscribe. Now, before we get into today's topic, I want to let you know that this is part two of a two-part series. The first part is over on my collaborator's channel. I want you to check her out, Ashli-Ann Douglas. So I want you to check out part one, actually before you check this one out. So if you're just jumping over here and you haven't seen part one, it's going to be kind of the foundation for what we'll be talking about on today. So there's going to be a card up top. So make sure that you click on that, jump on over there, and then come back, of course, and check out part two, which we'll be talking about in just a moment. Welcome back, Single Queen. It's your girl, Coach Cheryl. And here on this channel, we create content for single queens just like you who are ready to live the abundant life. I'm here to help you take your life off hold so that you can create a life that you love and not just tolerate waiting on a date. If that sounds like content that you would enjoy hearing over and over again, go ahead and smash that like button. Also, click that subscribe so that you'll know when I create new content. So let's jump into our topic on today. We've been talking about self-love. This is February and love month. And if you're single, I don't want you to be twiddling your thumbs, looking around like, oh Lord, what is we gonna do? Our boo has still not arrived. I want you to take this month and know that just because there isn't a significant other in your life, that love has to be absent from your life. You can love yourself and invite others into that love without losing yourself. So we're going to be talking about self-love, what that is, how to experience it, and how to still love yourself while you're giving love away to someone else. And so as you see, I have a beautiful guest here on today, Ms. Ashli-Ann Douglas. And so we'd like to welcome her. I want you to just share with our audience who you are, what you do, and why you can bless the socks off of their life.
All righty. Well, as you heard, I'm Ashley or Ashley Ann, if you want to be real formal. And I am the creator over at Breathe and Bloom, a little space in YouTube where we talk about things like self-care and talk about self-care beyond the pampering, but looking at self-care as really investing in all the different areas of your life, nourishing and planting so that you can really thrive and bloom into who you were designed to be. So we talk about professional self-care, professional growth and productivity and all that good stuff. We talk about emotional and personal and spiritual. So be sure to come say hello. In my day job, if you're curious, I am a lifelong learner, literally. I'm a doctoral student and I study psychology. And so I have a few insights about, the workings of the mind and what we need to take care of our mind.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. And I know everyone on here is going to love your channel. I go to Ashley's channel every week because I'm saying, what is she saying this week? How do I need to get myself together this week? I love your strategy about productivity and how that really helps us. All of your self-care tips, I know that's going to be a benefit. So make sure that you do go over to her channel, like and subscribe it, and binge watch all of her videos because they're going to actually bless. When I tell you they're going to bless your life, they'll bless your life. So let's jump into the topic. Self-love. We hear this so much, everybody, especially when we're dealing a lot in this past season where we've gone through so much chaos, whether it is with the pandemic, whether it was with social unrest, political unrest. It seems like the world is in chaos. And so we hear a lot of people talk about mental health issues. And so we are hearing self care and self love so much, probably in the last several years. But I want you to give us, what is your definition of self love?
And we probably hear it so often because it's so very important and so hard
Yes.
to define. And so I'll say, in general, self love is being kind to yourself. It's pausing to treat yourself well. And that involves lots of things, like knowing how to do that, knowing who you are and knowing what kindness is, and all that jazz. So if I were to give you just a quick little nugget to remember, it's being kind to yourself. And we can pause, on any given day to say, was I nice to myself today? Did I treat myself well?
I love that because that's something I never asked myself. I asked myself, was I kind to other people? But as I sit here and I reflect, I don't know how often I ask myself, okay, no, I do know how often. I never ask myself, was I kind to myself today? I never ask myself, was I good to myself today? And I think that's really, really important. A lot of times, there is this sort of guilt that we feel because people think that's being selfish if you're being good to yourself. How dare you think about being good to you when there are all these other people that you need to be good to? And so,
Right.
has there ever been a time when you have been walking through self care moments that you felt guilty about being good to yourself?
Definitely. And trying to think about when I stopped feeling guilty. But for the longest time, it felt like, Ashley, you are very busy. You know, you you're always doing stuff. This time now, you should probably be pouring into others, not saying, oh, you're going to take this time for yourself. Like, there's a sister who is struggling with this, or who, whatever. And so there often is this conflict, if you would, this battle of, should I take this time to love myself, to pour into myself, to make sure I'm doing what I need to do? Or should I be carrying out the Great Commission, which is absolutely critical. But like we talked about in part one, we cannot do the Great Commission. We cannot love others without first loving ourselves. And so it's just giving ourselves those gentle reminders that, hey, this is important. And, self love is approved, it's gotten God's stamp of approval. And doing this is actually pleasing to Him.
So when you talk about that, it's really, really good. This was something that was hard for me. And I want to ask you how you do it is, how do you find time? Because I am a type A personality, just, I always have something going on. I always have something to do. I always have something that I am planning, whether I'm planning a life coaching course, whether I'm planning a YouTube video, whether I'm planning something for my job, whether I'm planning something for my church or my family. I am always doing something. And my family always reminds me that I'm always doing something and I need to chill and just kind of rest for a minute. But how do you find time in a busy schedule to practice self-care, to practice self-love? What are some good tips for us to do that?
I'd say you already gave the answer. And like those people, you don't realize that you have the answer. I have a video on my channel called From Busy to Balance. So definitely check that out if you want some more detail. But the answer really is you plan it. Like you said, you're always planning something. So you have to plan that and make it non-negotiable. It's not like, oh, if I don't have anything else to do, I will do whatever my self-love habit is. It's, no, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not doing that unless the rapture is happening, someone is giving birth, there's some hospital need, like this is important, and
Right.
so I'm going to do it. That really is it. Like I could think of some fancy things to tell you, but the underlying thing is you've got to choose to prioritize it and to put it on your schedule. If there's nothing else on your schedule,
Hmm.
then you've got to schedule that. And that video will give you some ideas about how to get reminders of
Okay.
what is important to
Hmm.
you. Just plan it, just do it. That's it.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna put that down. And so funny that you said it. Because I am always going, 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 going. One thing that I did plan, and we kind of talked about it in part one, so y'all remember to jump on over to part one, was I have planned 5 days a week to take a nap. I have naps, it's on my reminders in my phone.
Okay.
Oh, it's nap time. And I do it every day, 5 days a week. I take a 30-minute nap because I know if I don't, I am going to be exhausted because the things that I have on my schedule to do are exhausting just looking at them. And so I know if I don't do that, that physical maladies may come, that stress is going to come, and I won't be able to love other people or to give to other people like I'm supposed to because I'm going to be, my cup is going to be empty and I will have nothing in the cistern to give because I can't keep working. I can't keep going when I am depleted. And I have learned that when I am depleted, I am irritable. I am snappy when I am depleted. So for the good of the nation, I take a nap so that I won't be irritable and I won't be someone that you don't want to be around. So I have learned from my own experience that not taking care of myself is a disservice to other people, because that I will mistreat you for lack of not treating me good, for lack of not loving me causes me not to love other people with the love that God wants me to share for them. And so I think that's really important. And so everybody else, get out your day timers, get out your planners and schedule, whether it's, you don't have to take a nap like me. It could be a walk in the
Right.
park. It could be something that fills you, something that re-energizes you to make sure that you have it in you to give to other people. And that's going to be the perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about is how do you love people? How do you practice self-love and love other people? Is that possible? Or if it is, which we all know it is, how do you effectively do that? How do you give of yourself without giving all of yourself so that you don't have anything? Help us with that.
Well, before I answer that, before you're talking, I was thinking, some of us, me, like I take this goal. If I don't schedule it, I could go week not making time for myself and making time for others. And
Right.
so when we think about it, the way you talked about it as, taking care of me is making it where I am better able to take care of others. If only you could use that as a motivation. Now, as far as how to both love yourself and love others, I think it's just looking at it really simply. Um, it's not a competition. If we schedule both of these things, let's talk about it that way. If
Yes.
we schedule me time for 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and we schedule mom time or time with the bestie at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., they will not compete, right?
Yes.
So if we think of it not as robbing others
Mm-hmm.
or robbing ourselves, then we're able to do both of them. Um, and I think that's the one of the key things. It's one knowing both are important, and
Right.
then two allowing yourself to do both.
I love that. I love that. I love how you um, made it where it's not a competition. because I think sometimes we think or we see it that way, or we respond as if it's that way. Like, if I give this to you, that means I won't have something for me. Not that I can do both. I can
Right.
love you very well and I can love myself well. Um, but it's all about balance, making sure that both are fulfilled, that one doesn't feel sacrificed over the other. But if we do what you said and we plan, and I don't think that we do a really good job of planning our lives. I know that's something I am learning to do, is how to be very intentional and purposeful about every day, giving every day an assignment of things that I have to do. And I know as I start to do that, and I start, okay, let me just be honest. As I start to do what I said I was going to do, because I've been planning my life for a long time, but not actually going by all the plans that I set. But as I actually put into practice the things that I have planned for, the more peaceful I feel, the more rested that I feel, and the more I have to give of myself to other people, because I have a space for everything. Everything has a time, everything has a place, everything has a space. And I think that when we organize our lives in such a way, then it allows us to have an internal peace about how we are moving forward. It allows us to have a spiritual peace, because every part of my life has a space and a place. And so I think if we all, me being number one, if we do a better job at making sure that we give time, give space to every person in our lives, including us, not seeing us as, when I get through with everything else, then I'll take care of me. No, for me, I have, and that may be the selfish part of me, I'm top of day. I take care of me before I take care of anything else. And that means I have to get up early to do it. That means when everybody else is asleep, I'm up doing things that feed me, doing things that connect me with God, so that I'm centered enough to walk into the day and give you parts of me. Now, I want to ask you just one last question. I want to talk about, how do you set boundaries? How do you set appropriate boundaries? I know for me and for a lot of the ladies that are on my channel, we are single and we are believing God to bless us with the kings that will come into our lives. And so when we are moving from single relationships to believing to be partnered with someone, how do we set boundaries around self-care and self-love? Are those conversations that we have, or how do we ease into that process without feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, I think a big part of it, and maybe the first part, I'm gonna say it's number one,
Okay. Mm.
is recognizing what those boundaries need to be.
Mhm. Yes.
And a part of figuring that out is answering some of those questions that we've asked in this video and asked in the previous video. So you need boundaries. You just need to figure out what they are. And so it might be when you recognize that you're not feeling peaceful anymore, then a boundary has been crossed.
Right.
Or you recognize that some conversations just wear you out, and so you need to say, hey, I can talk about everything under the sun except for the gossiping or the
Right.
whatever.
Yes.
And then, so yeah, it all comes back to knowing and answering those questions. And then I think I agree with you that the next step is talking about it. And talking about boundaries is not comfortable. You don't want people to feel rejected or like they're being about a burden or anything like that. But it's where this loving, you're loving this person, and this person should also be loving you and should be caring about what is good for you as well, where that conversation should be smoother if it's such a relationship. And if it's not such a relationship, then
Yeah. That's true. That's so true. That's so true. Yeah, so knowing what your boundaries are, knowing and that comes back to knowing yourself well enough to know what your boundaries are, what feels comfortable for you, what doesn't feel comfortable you, the spaces in your life that maybe not yet available to somebody else, or that the trust has to be built up to a
Mhm.
certain degree before that area is opened up. So knowing what those boundaries are. So I love that, setting boundaries, and women of God knowing that we need boundaries, and that that person has boundaries too that we'll have to respect and that we'll have to honor. Before we jump off, I want to ask you to give us some of your favorite things that you do to love yourself. How do you practice self love? What makes you feel rested, energized? What is self love to you? How do you see that in your practical everyday life?
So the first thing that comes to mind is reading for me. And back in the day, I used to read a whole lot. And then I suppose in my pursuit of education, I was reading so much at school that I no longer wanted to read at home.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe 2 years ago, I was like, no, you need to, this was your favorite thing to do. You've got to make time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's picking up a good book. And, I don't want to read anything dry. Like one of the first books that I read all the way through after my sad hiatus was, it was a comedy. I think it was a Tyler Perry Audible that
Okay.
I found that I was like, oh, I'll just listen to this while I go home every day, and I put it on. And I wasn't an Audible person, an audio book person. I always loved um, the physical book, but
Mhm.
it's making time for the things that you love, and it's as
Yeah.
simple as that. Another is taking walks, and it's cold now, and I've got a whole lot of sunshine in my bones, and so the cold and I aren't friends.
I know, right?
But when it's fall, I'm like, I am taking all the hikes, I am taking all the walks. In
Yes.
the spring, just the same. If it's not raining, I'm going out. Um, those are two of the things. Another is I became a plant mom last
Okay.
year during
Cool.
COVID. And so taking care of plants and just seeing them, and, bringing a little bit of nature inside, since that's something I enjoy.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I love one phrase that you said that really stood out to me is making time for the things that you love. And so as we leave on today, I want you to remember that. Make time for the things that you love. And I want the top of that list to be you. You love you.
Mhm.
Make time for you. The more time you make for yourself, the more that you feel loved and you feel at peace and you feel rested, the more you'll be able to give that to someone else. You can't give to other people that which you do not have yourself. So as we leave on today, I want you to write that down somewhere where you can see it every day. Make time for the things that you love. What we know is that life is fleeting. We never know what the next day will bring. And I don't want you to get to the end of life having loved everybody but you. So take time during this love month when you see people doing everything and you see them all coupled up and booed up. Buy yourself a dozen roses, buy yourself some candy, do something good for you. Take yourself out to dinner or buy a dinner and have it, door dashed, whatever to you, and put you some candles on the table, and you and God have a good meal. I love food. I absolutely love food, and a good meal just makes me happy.
Amen.
So do what makes you happy. Find time, especially this month, to do things that make you happy, that make you feel joyful, whether it's being around family, friends. Just do something fun for you. We hope that you have enjoyed this video of us talking about self love, self care, how important it is to do that, especially this month, but not just this month, every day of every year. So we hope that you have enjoyed it. We hope that you've gleaned so much from it. And if you've gotten this far and you haven't liked this channel, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know. But I need you to figure it out. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, remember, if you've gotten this far and you haven't watched part 1 of this series, I need you to jump back over to Ashley's channel and watch part 1. It really is the foundation for this particular video. So make sure that you jump over there, that you watch the video, that you like it, and you also subscribe to her channel. I promise you, you will not be disappointed, and she's going to help you go further, faster in life. I love you all with the love of the Lord. And as in parting, I always say, be real, be present, but most importantly, be alive. I'll see you all in the next video.